So there's our beautiful guest for the day.
Yes.
But Tonya actually sent me a picture that you can see that this is a fresh picture of Tonya and Bob, but I want to show you the full picture that Tonya sent me, and then you really need to get started, I'm sure, but I just can't resist this. This is too good.
Okay.
All right, let me see if I can. Here's the full picture. All right.
Now that is just exquisite.
I mean, look at that. Thing one, thing
And thing
two.
two.
And the Grinches.
And the Grinches who stole Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All right. So anyway, sorry. Had to do that.
That's wonderful.
We're off again.
Oh
Okay.
my.
Okay. I think, Susan, I think it's time to get started. I think we have our crowd here.
All right. This is a fine crowd. I'm glad to see everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And y'all know me, I'm Susan, and we are here today for our last class to celebrate the Old Time Gospel Band at Binkley Baptist Church. And we have some featured representatives of that fine group. And we also have our intrepid and distinguished leader, Art Aylesworth, and Gretchen here today. And I think they've been with us all the whole time too, as we try to do this class or series of classes over Zoom, which is we found to be extremely difficult. But Art did it over the rest of COVID, getting the Old Time Gospel Band together by masterful use of recording and editing equipment, and did music for the documentary on Bob Seymour. And the Old Time Gospel Band sang How Firm a Foundation. So it's been an incredible time, and pretty soon I hope we will all be together in person singing harmonies. But today we're featuring Bob Winstead and Tonya Hamm, and Tonya has brought for this very occasion her sisters Say and Meg. They're going to join Tonya in singing, and it's a wonderful thing because they're all three together in one place, so that means they can harmonize for us. And we will be able to mute ourselves at the end. And right now, I want y'all to all go get your Broadman hymnals, because we're going to use those at the very end. And of course, Charles is going to put up some words for us to sing out Amazing Grace at the end. We open with Amazing Grace, and we will close with Amazing Grace to close the circle. And the circle will be unbroken in this wonderful class that I've had the privilege to lead and to do with Charles all the way through. So I think that about covers it. Let me introduce you to Bob, who's a banjo player and a saxophone player and a guitar player extraordinaire. And you haven't lived until you've heard Bob play saxophone on Wade in the Water and other old-time gospel and spiritual songs of protest, of memory, of gathering us together. And Bob is hugely talented on the banjo as well. So that's Bob. And then Bob will take it from here, and then I'll introduce Tonya and Meg and Say at after Bob's presentation. Bob, can you help us out?
I can try. Thanks, Susan. I really appreciate it. I'm going to share like my healing life in music, and it's been a very powerful journey for me, and a journey I left for about 30 years, and I came back after leaving music for a long, long time. I'm going to start, I'm going to talk, I'm going to play some music, give you some history, hold your questions, comments, and criticism to the end, go on and turn your mics off, and I'll go ahead and start.
Mm.
It was a dark and stormy night. That's not true. I was born in January and it was a cold night, but it was not dark and stormy. But I was born into a musical family. My mom and her sister sang. They sang on the radio in the late 40s, early 50s in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, doing a lot of Andrew's Sisters songs. And to this day, at 85, 87, and 88 years old, they can get together. My mom will hum the note and they sing the song, and it's perfect every time. And that's what I grew up with, a family that sang. We got together at Christmas time, 45 to 65 of us, and we sang. My grandfathers, one grandfather played rockabilly and honky tonk electric guitar. The other grandfather I never had the fortune to meet, he died before I was born, played fiddle. So that musical thing was in my gene pool from the beginning. At about 10, 11, 12 years old, I took guitar lessons, I took piano lessons, and I picked up the sax. And the guitar was sort of meh. I liked it. It was okay. I learned the chords, but it was never really my instrument and still is not. I can still look at a guitar player, know what chords they're playing if I need to follow along, but that was not my thing. And piano, I was pretty good at. And to this day, when I think music theory, I see a keyboard when I'm thinking about the sharps and flats and how the chords are working and all that. And I play by ear, mostly on the piano, but the sax, when I picked the sax up within the first week, the instrument and I were one. And at 11 years old, I was becoming a really, really good sax player. And to this day, that's the instrument I can pick up and just go with. My first spiritual experience was not being baptized at 12. It was playing the saxophone. At 17 years old, I'm in a jazz band in high school, and my band director was a former studio musician from Nashville, Tennessee. He'd gone to Vietnam, come back, and wanted to work with high school bands. He arranged all of our music and jazz band, and he came out one day with a song called C Major Minor Blues, and he passes it out to the group, and he says, "Bobby," that was me then, "I want you to take a solo, measure 16. And I look down at the sheet of music and there's no music there. It just says sax solo. I was like, "Mr. Martin, there's no music written here." "I know, just play what you feel." "I don't know how to do that." "Oh, it'll come to you. Just play what you feel, improvise." And he started playing the intro on the piano, and I didn't have a chance to argue. And I'm freaking out. And we're starting the song and I'm playing along because we were all really good at sight reading music at that time. And I'm freaking out because this solo is coming up and I don't know how to do this. And it's time for me to start the solo. And I hear a saxophone playing. And I think it's one of the two other saxophones in the group. And I'm a little pissed because I'm going, "It's my solo, not your solo." And I'm looking over to see who's playing the saxophone. And I look down and it's me playing the saxophone. And this music is coming out of somewhere deep in my soul. And I have no idea where it came from. And in that moment, my life changed because I only wanted to play what I felt at that point from then on, rather than what somebody else wrote. There's a great quote by Victor Hugo I want to read now. "Music expresses that which cannot be put into words and that which cannot remain silent." And in that moment, that's what happened to me. I was going to go to ECU. I'd been accepted in the music school there. And last minute, I decided I didn't want to do that. I didn't think I could make a living being a musician. So I went with my mind instead of my heart, and I went to NC State and majored in mechanical engineering instead. And I hated it. I had auditioned for the marching band at NC State and had gotten in, but decided I just didn't want to do it. I did perform with a big band for a couple of years while I was in college, and we toured around North Carolina playing 40s, 30s, 40s big band and swing music. But then I just walked away. I thought, well, if I can't do this, I'm just not going to do it anymore. And I just set it down. And about every 5 years, I might pick up the sax if I was depressed and wail on some blues and then pack it away again. And that's the way it was for a long, long time. Went to Pullen Baptist Church, where I married my wife, and I helped, along with Ellen and Larry Schultz, the music director there, start an orchestra at Pullen, and we were playing, and that got me playing again for a while. And then we had kids, and we didn't really fit in at Pullen. It's a really big church, and our kids just weren't fitting in. So we kind of went on this nomadic journey to look at other churches, and I put the music down again. And then we got to Durham about 6 years ago. My girls were both in school at Carolina Friends School and wanted to be close to that school. And I went on a walkabout looking for churches, and solo visited Binkley one Sunday and went, I kind of like this place, and convinced my family to follow along. And we started going to Binkley. I don't think I was a member yet, but I got an email from Daniel, the music director at the time, on a Tuesday. And he said, I need you to play saxophone on Sunday with the choir playing Give Me Jesus. I've attached the music. It wasn't a, do you want to? Could you? How do you feel about it? It was, I need you to play this music on Sunday with the choir, and here it is. I was like, okay. So I get out my sax, print the music off, and it is god awful for saxophone. 6 sharps. The range is really, really high. Even for a great sax player, and I hadn't played in 5 years. So I get busy trying to get my lip in shape to play for this Sunday gig. And I get to the point where, I pull it off, but I get to the point on Saturday where I'm going, if I keep playing, my lip is going to be shot by Sunday. I'm going to have to turn it over to my higher power and just hope for the best. And it worked out. But it planted that seed back in my heart about how important music was to me. And in that same year, on August 3rd, 2018, I'm visiting my best friend, who I call Wizard. His name is Granville H. Spry III. He's a musical genius, plays a dozen instruments. He was the one that actually recorded Charles' original song and Susan's original song in March of 2020, right before we shut down for COVID. He also helped me spec all the equipment for Binkley, for the sound system upgrades in the sanctuary and the fellowship hall right before COVID. And he's my best friend. I show up at his house and there's a banjo hanging there. Now, I know he plays mandolin and guitar and all these other instruments. Didn't know he played banjo. And I said, Wizard, I did not know you played banjo. Yep, started when I was 19. Wizard's 69 now. He picked it up, hadn't played it in 5 years or so, tuned it up, and just blew me away with playing some clawhammer banjo. I mean, just phenomenal. Wizard's played with the North Carolina Symphony a couple of times, playing mandolin, super talented guy. And I say, man, I have always wanted to learn to play banjo. Wait a minute, Bob. He got up, walks out of the room, and he comes back with a banjo in his hand, hands it to me. You can have this one. And he sat me down, taught me the bum ditty, 3 chords, said, come back and see me in 4 months. And I'm like, Wizard, I come visit you once a week. Why do I need to wait 4 months? Oh, it's going to take you 4 months to get the bum ditty down, believe me, to get the rhythm down. Because rule number 1, banjo is a percussion instrument, and you have to drive the tempo. So I show up in about 6 weeks, having learned about 4 gospel tunes in a medley, and I come in all proud and pumped up, and I'm wailing those songs out like a freight train going down the mountain. And 3-4 measures in, he does this. And I stop, and he goes, you're playing way too fast. And this is when banjo became Zen for me. He said, Bob, sometimes in life, you just got to slow down. And for playing banjo, if you think you're playing a little too slow, you're probably playing right where you need to be. And that kind of stuck with me. So I picked up banjo for the first time 4 or 5 years ago, started playing. I did 6 months into playing banjo. I did the Fat Tuesday kind of celebration at Binkley as part of the talent show. And the next night, Wednesday night, I went up to Art Ellsworth on Wednesday night at church after dinner and said, I've been playing banjo for about 6 months and I'd like to be in the old time gospel band. Do I need to audition? And he looked at me And he said, no, just show up and play with us. Come on. And I did. And you guys accepted me, and I was green. And basically, I developed my chops on banjo with the Old Time Gospel Band and was pushed into situations of learning different keys and everything else with the banjo. And that sort of became my life. I play every single day and have since the day I picked it up. It's been a great journey for me. So banjo came from Africa. There's no doubt that it came from Africa. It developed over the 1800s, and about 1870, 1880, it really hit its heyday. There was a company called Buckby that was making banjos in the 1880s, and they were producing 10,000 a month in 1880. So it was just a tremendous surge of banjos. And here's what the thought of banjo was, and this is from the American Heritage website. Because of its slave origins and its later association with rough and raffish minstrels, the banjo has long been deemed disreputable by decent folk. Like the mountain minister said, you might as well give your son a ticket to hell as give him a 5-string banjo. But by the 1890s, the banjo had shed its uncouth image and become fashionable parlor instrument. Communities formed banjo orchestras, and it featured instruments like the banjo lele, the banjolin, it's a banjo mandolin. There were piccolo banjos, soprano banjos, tenor banjos. There was a cello banjo, a bass banjo. So it just developed and became this wonderful, wonderful instrument. So today I want to do a couple of songs, maybe 3. And in this period of COVID, I started working on friends' instruments, and I sort of became a banjo luthier just by default. And I started buying and collecting banjos and repairing them and selling them. And my last series of banjos have all been from the late 1800s. So today I'm going to be playing an 1870s banjo, an 1880s, 90s banjo that's appropriate with the 2 songs I picked out. And then if I have time, I'll play a third on just my modern 1960 banjo. But this first song is Welcome Table. It was written in 1874. Highly probable that it was a former slave. Some of the verses sound like it would be a former slave owner, and it became a kind of a spiritual in the 20th century. It was later done by many, many people. The Carter family took it, changed the words a little bit, etc. This is a Fairbanks. This is a hybrid banjo. This is a Fairbanks pot and a Buckby neck that somebody put together sometime in the past that I restored. So the pot is from about the 1870s, and it's big. It's a 12-inch pot, and most banjos are 11-inch. So it's got this really deep sound that the mid-range and bass notes come out of. It's not a good solo instrument. It'd be good in an ensemble, but I thought it'd be kind of cool to play Welcome Table because this banjo existed when this song was written. So here we go. Hang on tight. Sit at the welcome table. I'm gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. I'm gonna sit at the welcome table. I'm gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. I'm gonna tell God how you treat me one of these days. I'm gonna tell God how you treat me. I'm gonna tell God how you treat me one of these days. I'm gonna join my sisters and brothers. I'm gonna join my sisters and brothers one of these days. I'm gonna join my sisters and brothers. I'm gonna join my sisters and brothers one of these days. I'm gonna feast on milk and honey. I'm gonna feast on milk and honey one of these days. I'm gonna feast on milk and honey. I'm gonna feast on milk and honey one of these days. I'm gonna sit at the welcome table. I'm gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. I'm gonna sit at the welcome table. I'm gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. I'm gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. Woo! Thank you, thank you. Another Binkley connection because right before Stephanie was going to do a Sunday, and I can't remember what the Sunday was about. She contacted me and Ellen and said, I need y'all to do a spiritual song for Sunday. And so we started hunting for one, and we found this one, and we did it. So that was kind of our thing. We had talked in the early part of the class about pentatonic scales and how the influence of other music came into effect, what we call old time music, African American, Native American, Scottish, Irish, English, etc. So this next song is called Shady Grove, and it was originally done in 1915, published in 1915. Doc Watson is really well known for it, doing it in the 60s. It was taken from a Scottish song called Maddie Groves, the melody, and has kind of morphed over the years. By the beginning of the 21st century, there were 300 known stanzas to this song. That's how much it changed. And the Maddie Grove version, as I said, was Scottish. And, you know, there's some speculation of why Shady Grove is a woman in the story. Is it a love song? Is Shady Grove a place? There's a lot of thought that Shady Grove was just heard incorrectly originally, and that it was a woman's name and not Shady Grove, a place. But anyway, it's Shady Grove. Now, this instrument I just got this week. So it's got really bad tuners. There's actually a peg tuner on the 5th string. And this one is only about 10 inches in diameter. And I've got it tuned in what is a Dorian modal tuning, or G modal tuning. If you can hear that versus what we had before. So, and the reason I learned this song is I've been playing with the guy who went to Juilliard, a great guitar player, and he said, "Bob, I want to play Shady Grove with you." And he gets it out and he goes, "Okay, you go F, you go G to F, no, you go C to F, C to F, C to F, C to F, C to F." And I'm like, "I can't do that on banjo." He's like, "Sure you can." I'm going, "No, I can't go from a C to an F that fast on a banjo." So I look up, because somebody's played it before, and I look up and it's a modal tuning, and then it all becomes easy to do once you do that. And I have to think that a lot of these songs came from that. So these tunings are ancient. They're not, something that is what we are normally doing. But this is Shady Grove, and this is my version, which is sort of some of the original words, and not quite the Doc Watson version, but close. Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, my darling, Shady Grove, my little love, going back to Harlan. Cheeks as red as a blooming rose, eyes the prettiest brown. She's the darling of my heart, prettiest girl in town. Went to see my Shady Grove, she was standing at the door. Her shoes and stockings in her hand, bare little feet on the floor. Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, my darling, Shady Grove, my little love, going back to Harlan. Wish I had a big fine horse, corn to feed him on. Shady Grove, stay at home, feed him when I'm gone. When I was a little boy, I wanted a barlow knife, and now I want little Shady Grove to stay, she'll be my wife. Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, my darling, Shady Grove, my little love, going back to Harlan. Kiss from my little Shady Grove, as sweet as brandy wine. There ain't no girl in this world prettier than mine. Peaches in the summertime, apples in the fall. If I can't have that girl I want, I don't want none at all. Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, my darling, Shady Grove, my little love, going back to Harlan. Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, my darling, Shady Grove, my little love, going back to Harlan.
Oh, Bob. Bob, that's beautiful. I'm afraid I'm going to have to allow time for Tonya.
That's
May I
good. I'm
say,
done.
You did a fabulous job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If we have time, if we can stay after 10:30, let's just continue on. Is that okay, Charles? He says yes.
Yep, I said yes.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. That is beautiful. Tonya and Meg and Say, are y'all ready?
I think we're ready. Thank you,
This
Bob.
is Tonya, and she's a member of the Old Time Gospel Band as well. And Tonya has told me one time that she is willing and wanting to play music any chance and any place she gets to do it. And we are so fortunate to have with Tonya her sisters from Atlanta, Georgia, my hometown too, and sisters Meg and Say, and they're going to sing for us today too and tell their story. As Joe Newberry said, old time music is about ordinary people telling extraordinary stories, like Bob Winstead just did. Okay, Tonya, take it away, girlfriend.
Okay. Thank you, Bob. Really enjoyed hearing your banjo. I wanted to thank Susan and Charles for inviting me to share some of my story. It's really an honor and a privilege to be here, to have this opportunity. And I'm super happy to have two of my sisters here. As Susan said, they drove from Atlanta to be with me. I'm not really a soloist, so I called Say and I said, Say, can you possibly come to sing with me for this Sunday school class? And then as I opened the door when they got here on Friday night, Meg was with her. So I was super happy to have both of them. That was a really good surprise. It's really appropriate for them to be here today because my life story and values really revolve around family, faith, and music. So I'm the oldest of 5. There's 4 girls and 1 boy. Our father was born in Durham and have a long Baptist history on that side of the family. My great-grandfather was a preacher, and he started a Baptist church in Durham, South Durham, and they actually, my great-grandparents, my grandparents, my dad, when he was a young man, they actually physically built the church. So there was always a strong sense of Baptist heritage in our family. I remember, as Bob mentioned, not in a formal way, but oftentimes hearing my family at my great-grandmother's house singing around the piano, and often it was hymns. Church was one of the first places I went, and I know my sisters too, when we were infants, and has continued to be for the rest of our lives. So church has been a huge, huge part of our family life and our individual lives. My mom was born in West Virginia to a large family. And one of my earliest memories is of, we were somewhere out in West Virginia visiting with my mom's family. And I remember my mom and my aunt singing Down in the Valley. That really sticks with me. And I know maybe I was 6 years old, but what a sweet memory. We moved from Durham to Atlanta when I was about 8. And we started going to a church called Heritage Hills Baptist Church when I was about 13. This was such a wonderful church for us to grow up in. Also started playing the guitar at about age 13. We had a large youth group there. And every year we would have, our choir would learn a musical. And in the summers, we would go on a trip to sing our musicals. And it was just such a fun time of being with others. It was community, it was love, and it was such an important part of my growing up. So we wanted to sing actually a song from back in that time. We're going to share Pass It On. And please sing along, mute, but sing along at home if you know this. Okay. It only takes a spark to get a fire going, and soon all those around can warm up in its flowing. That's how it is with God's love. Once you've experienced it, you spread God's love to everyone. We want pass it on. I wish for you, my friend, this happiness that I found. You can depend on God. It matters not where you're bound. I'll shout it from the mountain top. I want my world to know the Lord of love has come to me. I want to pass it on. I'll shout it from the mountain top. I want my world to know the Lord of love has come to me. I want to pass it on. All right, say. Okay. I did also want to mention that as in our youth group and just growing up in the church that we did, that we were loved and supported by many, many people. This was really our family, and it really helped build confidence and a sense of being loved unconditionally, not only from our family, but also from our church family. And I think that this really molded and shaped me and probably my siblings too. And I'm so, so thankful for that we had that opportunity. I started a band in about the 5th grade and played the clarinet, which I did not love, but I loved the band. So it was a way to be in the band. And I continued all the way through high school. This was another really formative activity for me. I loved the band. I tried to do as much band stuff as I could, including like county band, all-state band, and marching band. My senior year, I was actually even the field director. So that was actually one of the highlights of my teenage years, for sure. After graduating from college with a degree in physical therapy, I started working at Lenox Bay Children's Hospital. And a colleague there was learning to play the hammered dulcimer. And she knew a friend who played many stringed instruments. His name was Michael, but primarily he played the banjo and the guitar. And so we formed a little band, and we were called the Improbable String Band. And this is where I was really introduced to old time music and fell in love with that kind of music. And we played together, usually like at local bars and for this and that, for several years until Joan moved across the country. About that time too, I found Binkley Church. And what a wonderful place to be the past 30-something years. And I've been involved in the music program in a variety of ways at Binkley. Played in the handbell choir, which was just, I super enjoyed. About 10 years ago, I was on the music committee with Gretchen Aylesworth. And Gretchen said, at that time, Leandra Stroop was our minister of music. And Gretchen said, you know, wouldn't it be great if we had like an old time band? And I thought, Binkley, although Leandra, we did a lot of eclectic music, sort of old time gospel was not one of them. I always thought of Binkley music as more sort of high church music, more formal. So I was thinking, I thought it was a great idea, but I was very skeptical. I was thinking, oh no, that's not going to fly at Binkley. But Leandra said, well, yes, let's try it. To my great delight. And we did. Leandra, put out the call, and if I remember correctly, I think Art Aylesworth was there. We had a number of other folks that came from the very beginning. We had a couple of fiddles, we had some guitars, some harmonicas, and some singers. And so Mike Davis was on the piano, and Mike Davis, piano player extraordinaire who can play anything in any style, in any key. We started off mostly playing like older hymns. And actually, we want to sing an older hymn for you guys right now. All right. We're going to do In the Garden. Okay. I come to the garden alone, while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses, and He walks with me, and He talks with me, and He tells me I am His own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. He speaks, and the sound of His voice is so sweet, the birds hush their singing, and the melody that He gave to me within my heart is ringing, and He walks with me, and He talks with me, and He tells me I am His own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. So a number of people have participated in the Old Time Gospel Band over the years, and many folks that started in the very beginning are still involved. One especially notable member was dear Billy Barnes. Billy was a photojournalist in the area. He was a singer, a storyteller, just an all-around amazing person. Billy often wrote new words to familiar tunes, and we sang a number of his songs. Probably the most famous one was Everybody Loves Binkley Sunday School, where the kids are nice and the teachers are cool. So oftentimes when we kick off a new Sunday school year, the Old Time Gospel Band will sing that for the assembly before we kick off our new Sunday school year. And unfortunately, we lost Billy several years ago and still miss him dearly. Art Ellsworth has helped us really broaden our horizons into more traditional sort of old time songs. And Art also is usually the one that types out our songs, the words, and puts the chords to it, does all the charting, and for that we are very grateful. Every time I try to do that, it doesn't quite turn out like Art's is. So Karen Coletti is currently our piano player and occasionally the fiddle player. And with her history as a music teacher, we rely on her often to help us hone our vocals and our arrangements of tunes. I wish I could name every participant, but I'm afraid I would leave some people out. This is really a wonderful group of folks with so many talents, and it's been such a joy for me to play with this group over the years. Similar to Bob, I had not played sort of formally the guitar in a number of years, really. I would play some at home for myself, but when the Old Time Gospel Band started, it really got me back into playing the guitar regularly. And it also encouraged me to pull out a banjo that I had purchased from a friend when I was in college and had never really learned to play it. And I was inspired to take the banjo and to just start learning it. So I've had a wonderful time over the past maybe 6 years, gradually trying to learn how to play the banjo. And that, as Bob mentioned, I mean, it's hard to play the banjo and not be smiling when you play it. It just brings a smile. And my partner, Susan, has been wonderful about not hollering back, stop, too much banjo. Okay. So we are gonna sing one more, Blessed Assurance. And I especially love the chorus to this. It really fits very well with, as I mentioned in the beginning, for me, family, faith, and music. And of course, the chorus is, this is my story, this is my song. Well, turn it back over to you, Susan.
Thank you so much, Tonya and Meg and Say. Y'all sounded just like angels. I used to have a group at my other church where I used to go, and we sang harmonies like that, and we called ourselves the Angelettes, and I think y'all should be the Angelettes too.
We'll take it.
Well, it can be definitely part of the Old Time Gospel Band at Binkley, of course, but a kind of a offshoot. And the angels can fly up from Atlanta too. Thank y'all so much. Do we have any questions? We have one more song to sing for everybody to sing. But we have a little bit of tiny time for questions for Bob or Tonya or Tonya's sisters. I think everybody's just caught up in the music.
I have a comment, Susan.
Yeah.
There's nothing like a family that can sing together. There's nothing like the harmony that comes out of that. And I was just blessed to hear you, Tonya, and your sisters play today. It was just wonderful. Your harmonies are just beautiful. And I'm really grateful I got to be part of this and got to hear you sing. Thanks so much.
Mhm. Me too. Me too. Mm. Charles?
Well, you know, one of the things that I wonder if others feel this way too. I think some of the old songs that the old time gospel band plays, uh, it may very well be that even the people in the band are not aligned with that particular theological perspective anymore. They have a different perspective, but
Right.
there's still something very, when I hear "This Is My Story," it just takes me right back to my childhood and our family and all those happy times. And so I wonder if part of the healing power is even to hear and sing music from our youth, uh, that we actually probably, you know, are somewhere else theologically now, but nevertheless, it has a healing component to it. And so,
Right. It bypasses all other circuits in your brain and it goes straight down to your heart, I think. These old songs that you may or may not have heard in childhood, but they are deeply a part of all of our hearts, wherever we are. And the words too may be theologically just exactly what you were brought up with, but have departed from, or what you've never heard before because you came from a different tradition altogether. It with the music it heals. And Collins has a question. Can you unmute?
Question. Or no, a question. It is a kind of question.
Yes.
This disjunction that Charles expressed about certain theological themes discarded now seem to have some healing power. Another step might be to rethink some of those theological themes and well, maybe I shouldn't have discarded that. Maybe there's something deeper in that than I realized.
That's exactly right. I agree because I know I have done that. I have reconsidered because of hymns like "This Is My Story," "This Is My Song," or "Amazing Grace," that saved a wretch like me. I used to object to calling myself a wretch. And now I know at 74 years of age, I am a wretch.
Took you that long?
Well, just about that long. I'm pretty stubborn and thick-headed. But there is a book I love called The Spirituality of Imperfection, which to me is a long way of saying the spirituality of the grace of God that saved a wretch like me. Because we come to the old time gospel band or to anything that we know, love, and do imperfect, and we are loved for that and in spite of that. And the music shows me that and bypasses any rationalizations or objections I might have.
well, Susan, why don't we put up? I can see that a few backsliders don't have their broadened hymnals,
Oh, I
so I
know,
can
I
I
know.
can put that music up and let the the Tonya the Ham family, they're ready to go. I'm
The
telling you.
stay has it. The hams have it. There it is.
All right, I'm going to put up the words, and Tonya, why don't you all sing as many of these verses? Give me a minute to put it up on the screen. Sing as many of these verses because we have 3 minutes here, and this is about a 3.5 minute song, so we'll be okay. But let me see if I can get it up on the screen so everybody can see it.
Yeah.
Screen share. Let's see.
And then we may even have time for more music from Bob and Tonya.
Yes, yeah. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Let me get it up here. I got it in G. I got it in G, Tonya, but you all sing it in whatever key you want to play it in. Okay.
And we might need folks to mute if they're going to sing along.
Oh, yeah, everybody mute, please.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Was grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieve. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. 'Tis grace that brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. When we lived 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've known estates to sing us praise than when we first begun.
Okay.
Oh, that was beautiful. That was transporting. Thank you, ladies. And thank you all for singing along. I could hear you through the airwaves, or as they used to say back in Greek times, through the ether, through the universal harmonium of the entire universe. I could do it. Thank
Well,
you.
all right. So, Susan, it's really time for people to get ready to go to church. But there are, since church is right here and people don't have to go very far, and I bet half the people are still wearing their pajamas. Bob, why don't you play us another banjo song, and we'll go out at the end of your banjo song. Okay.
All right. Okay. This is a Scottish song. It comes from a poem written in the late 1700s, early 1800s, and was morphed into this song. Oh, the summertime has come, and the trees are sweetly blooming, and the wild mountain thyme grows round the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go down, and we'll all go down together to pull wild mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? I will build my love a bower by yon cool crystal fountain, and round it I will pile all the wild flowers of the mountain. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go down together to pull wild mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? I will range through the wilds and the deep glens say dreary, and return with their spoils to the bar. Oh, my dearie, will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to poor wild mountain thyme, all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? If my true love she'll not come, then I'll surely find another to poor wild mountain thyme, all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go down together to poor wild mountain thyme, all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go?
Thank you all. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Tonya. Bless you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Keep on singing. Love you.